Hello, Facebook. We are live. I'm Dan Hickey with Sadie Records, and we are at the Logan Center for the Arts, the University of Chicago. I am with clarinetist John Ye and composer Jim Stevenson. So why don't you guys just tell us the project we're working on today?
I think it's your project. Okay, well, it's your project too. This is a project to record the clarinet music of James Stevenson III. And it's all wonderful music. We started already with the Liquid Melancholy, which is the clarinet concerto. And that's already in the can. It's already been recorded and edited, and that was with the Lake Forest Symphony, which is where Jim is composer in residence. And so we've known each other now for about 6, 7 years, and our initial meeting was over the writing of the Liquid Melancholy. And then subsequent to that, Jim has written other pieces that, most recently, the Sonata for Clarinet and Piano, which we just finished recording this morning. And then there are 3 other pieces, actually 2 other pieces for clarinet and piano, the Etude Caprice and the Fantasy, which we recorded yesterday. And then today we are going to be recording the 2 chamber music pieces that involve clarinet, and Last Chance, and the other piece is called Colors, which is an early Stevenson. So this album will contain music from all periods of James Stevenson's creative output. And it's wonderful music. It's all engaging. It's all fantastic to listen to, and it's all challenging, but not daunting. It's challenging, and sometimes it's a little bit maddening, like Spike. You'll hear in Spike. But it's really a fantastic music for everybody to listen to, and it is a lot of fun to play. So hope you'll all be enjoying it very soon when the recording comes out next year. So maybe Jim has some things to add about what his philosophies are and how he's been enjoying this whole thing.
Well, that's an understatement saying I've been enjoying it, because here I have John Ye and Patrick on piano, just playing. I mean, it's not just hard; it's really difficult, right?
There are some things that are like, climbing Mount Everest, which you'll be able to do it eventually, but it's always a struggle. But you try to make it, and that's the beauty of this music, is it's worth the effort. It's worth the effort to work on it in detail. It's worth the effort to perform it a lot, and it's also worth the effort to listen to it. You'll want to listen to it several times.
What's interesting to me is that you did say that it's, you said early Stevenson. So in the last 2 days, I've heard one of my very first compositions, the Etude Caprice, and then today I heard a more recent composition, the Sonata. So for me, it's like this journey into a window of my past, and seeing what's going on in my life since then. But also hearing some similarities between the 25-year-old Jim Stevenson and the a little bit older Jim Stevenson.
Well, it's great because Jim, you may know, is a performer as well, so he can relate to us and relate to the challenges and just the sensibilities of performing an instrument. So it's wonderful to work with a composer who understands what we're dealing with, and he's very sensitive to performers and to the music itself. And so it's been such a gratifying experience to work with you on several different pieces in several different genres, the orchestra genre, the chamber music genre, the sonatas. It's been such a joy for me, and I've spent a good part of my life recently just playing Stevenson, and I just love it. So, no, it's really been gratifying for me, and I hope you, as listeners, will eventually get the same pleasure out of this as I have, and as have my colleagues, playing this wonderful, wonderful music.
Awesome. Thank you guys. So, Jim, what's it like being a composer at a recording session and hearing your music being recorded and played over and over again?
And played a lot of wrong notes.
Well, it's a blast, to be honest. I mean, first of all, they're playing it so well right from the get-go. And so I'm just sitting there enjoying, and then I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe we could even take it to another level, you know? I mean, this is...
I love that. I love that about you, because you are well balanced, and you know, you say when it's good, and you say when you like something else to be different. And this is the beauty of working with a composer that's alive, you know.
Yeah, so we've taken things, you know, maybe a tempo needs to go a little bit quicker, or can we get one dynamic level softer just so we can capture that moment in a different way? And I've said it many times in the sessions, I feel guilty, but I'm also like a mad scientist, because I have this wonderful, these toys I can play with, you know, and say, all right, let's do this way. And they'll do it on the first try, which is a lot of fun. You know. I'm not so sure when I was a performer I could have done any of what you guys are doing, but it's really thrilling for me to be sitting now for over 10 hours probably of recording sessions and just enjoy my music being played so well.
And we appreciate your input and your understanding, and also your challenging. It's a great balance between understanding what we're up against and challenging us to go to the next level. And I think that's what all great composers do. I mean, all great composers of the past, they've challenged us to come to a new level. Mozart, Beethoven, Stravinsky. You know, Jim is right along there with them, challenging us to do things that maybe we never thought of before, or weren't ever considered possible. Now will have to be possible. It's just like, well, Gunther Schuller, didn't he say, every year they should raise the first note of the Rite of Spring a semitone higher, because it's getting easier to play every year. So you have to challenge them to do it so that it has the same amount of strain and the same amount of effort as the first time.
As a clarinet player, what lies well about this music? What's challenging about this music?
Well, excuse me for saying this, but you know, it's very awkward to play. But it's only awkward from a technical standpoint. It is not awkward from a musical standpoint. So as long as you have a very good musical concept of how you want it to go, there's always this striving, or there's always this, you know, trying to get it to sound exactly the way it's supposed to sound. And it's that's the part of the challenge of playing Jim's music. It's not easy. It's not so hard that you say, okay, forget it, it's not worth it. It's got such a musical message, and it touches you as a performer in such a way that you want to do it, and you want to spend the time, and you want to spend the effort and get closer. That's the thing about it.
This is so interesting, because it doesn't sound awkward at all. So now you've just made it so composers are going to write even harder stuff in the future. I mean, literally, not a note you've played in the last 2 days has sounded awkward, not a single lick.
Wow.
And so I would have walked away saying, that I must write really well for the clarinet.
Well, you do. I mean, you do. And the thing is that most clarinet players that are professional players and really serious students of the instrument, I consider myself a serious student of the instrument, and I also have to be a professional, will eat this music up, because what it does is it creates an environment where we have to go to the next level in order to achieve the musical ideas and the musical concepts that this music represents. I mean, you know, you clearly have a message, and it's our job to bring the message to you, however we have to do it. And we've figured out pretty much how to do it.
I would say so, yeah.
Well, we've got just a few minutes left, so I think we'll turn to some of our live audience here and see what questions they have.
Hi, folks.
Let's see. Richard wants to know, I think this one is for you, Jim. What was your influence in picking the clarinet for these pieces, or for your instrumentation for composition in general?
Well, usually the pieces are sort of chosen form, like a clarinet concerto. It was part of an overall consortium of 3 different clarinetists with 3 different orchestras. They each had a regional premiere of it. So in that case, it was clarinet with orchestra. The Etude, which is one of the first pieces I wrote, called Etude Caprice, It was back when I was playing in an orchestra, and a good friend of mine who now lives in Spain, Yvonne Garcia, I just wanted to write a little piece for him. So I wrote a clarinet etude and then later added a piano accompaniment. When it comes to chamber music, I'm a big fan of, although these two don't really mix it up a lot, but I love mixed colors in a chamber setting. So I just said colors, I didn't mean that.
Colors.
But colors has
The name of the
clarinet,
piece.
oboe, and string. So obviously there's a string quartet, we all know that sound, but throwing the clarinet and the oboe together with that, that was just an idea I had at that moment and wanted to represent colors with those instruments. But the other piece, Last Chance, was a commission for string trio, clarinet, and piano, and that instrumentation was very specific. So in most cases, it's told to me what I'm writing for. Very
Well,
rarely.
Jim's
do I
being very modest because he has more commissions than he can keep up with because he's the concerto king. And I say this in all truthfulness because he's written concertos for practically every instrument and multiple concertos for some instruments. Like he's a trumpeter, so 5, 6 trumpet concertos in your catalog already. But in the Chicago Symphony, we're looking forward to premiering his bass trombone concerto in 2019, I believe. 2018-19.
I'll write you a good. I'm going to write him a good part.
Yes.
I think we can take one more question or two. Let's see. Julie wants to know, do you ever make changes to the composition based on how the session is going?
We've done some composing in the middle of these sessions,
That's right.
actually, right? We've
That's the
changed it.
beauty of having the composer on the spot. You
Yeah,
say, let's recompose
Like,
this.
I need an F in that chord, and we'll just add it so that people, if they're looking at the score later, they'll say, hey, I didn't hear that. But often I get the question of whether I revise pieces after hearing them, after premieres, or maybe after something like this. The answer is I would love to probably revise everything I've written, but the fact of the matter is I have to keep moving forward. So a lot of my pieces are going to be what they are, and it's sort of my historic journal, I guess, of my output. But, I mean, I guess we could publish some changes of... I'd be curious, do you think some of these changes should be published, or should they just listen to your recording and say, oh, that's the way it should
Just
go?
listen to the recording
Okay.
and say that's the way it should go. Because they aren't significant. I mean,
Right.
they're, like you said, just adding a note in a chord or putting a doubling of an octave here or something like that.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your busy recording schedule for this interview. Once again, if you're just joining us now, this is John Ye, clarinetist, and Jim Stevenson, composer. The album is the music of Jim Stevenson, and it'll be out in 2018. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.